Episode 314 of the TV Dudes, recorded December 30th, 2020. Best of 2020, Part 2. It's the last show of 2020, and we're giving you our top 10 shows of 2020. Well, and a few other honorable mentions. But we watched a lot of TV this year, and we're giving you our view of what the cream of the crop was. But before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
And we're the TV Dudes. Y'all, it is Eve of New Year's Eve.
Ooh,
Yes, the
Eve.
penultimate.
The penultimate.
It's New Year's Eve.
Yes. And I'm sure we all have big plans that involve staying inside and seeing no one.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, no, I think the only responsible thing to do this 4th of July is find the nearest illegal fireworks stand and, just stay on your property and celebrate as best you can.
Yeah,
July? It's December 31st, Kyle. I know the pandemic has messed with everybody's schedule.
No, people do fireworks for the New Year.
Yeah, I know, but you said 4th of July.
Oh,
yes.
It's not the 4th of July?
What is time, Randy? What calendar are you using? I'm using a 2020 calendar. We're in the 30th blurred 3.
It's Texas. The weather doesn't appreciably change.
Yeah, it does feel like 4th of July in other places.
I was laughing earlier that I never give a shit about going anywhere on New Year's. I always want to just stay home and maybe make it till midnight before falling asleep. And this year I have like 2 Zoom invites I could go to, and like and meanwhile like Lisa's like, yeah, there's nothing to do. Whatever, it's New Year's. I was like, well, this is the introvert's year.
Yeah,
I have a couple of Zoom invites that I'm like,
Christmas is bad enough, but man, I always throw like a board game night, and I can't do it this year, and I am super bummed about the whole thing. So yeah, my New Year's will probably be watching more of season 3 of The West Wing and going to sleep at 1 a.m.
Yeah, I figure I'm gonna maybe try and do watch party with like Nick Tice or somebody, and
yeah.
There has been a morbid silver lining to both Christmas and New Year's, which is I'm normally traveling this time of the year. So before we did this remotely, that would have meant me off the podcast for a couple weeks. But then also, I'm so exhausted after the holidays. Like, I love seeing my family, but they live in Wisconsin. My wife's family's in Portland. We drive to Wisconsin. We fly to Portland. It is like days and days of travel just to, see everybody's Christmas tree.
I was noting the same, that as much as I love seeing, it's just my folks. It's not like I do shit on Christmas. I just go up and see like, a couple of people, and then we just hole up in the house. But I still didn't do it this year because they're a hot spot and I'm in a hot spot. And anyway, we just didn't. And I missed the Christmas regularness of it. But I also, I gotta say, not traveling or figuring out what to do with my dog or any of that, like, it was really kind of cool.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie. So the weirdest thing for me though this week is that it's usually the bye week of do nothing, but that like it's going to be normal routine here in 3-4 days. You'll be back to work, back to it's the year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't have that sense right now.
Nope.
So I'm in the bye week from the year that time forgot, heading into the like God knows what, and it's just bizarre. It's been a weird week.
Yeah, this is usually like super busy week for me. It has been. It's been busy-ish, but yeah, it's like usually New Year's week is like a bunch of people buying games, come to the store to buy games. Not a lot of people. I mean, people are, but not a lot of people buying games for like their New Year's get-togethers because I'll shame them. And so it's just like it's a quieter week, and I'm still working the whole time. Like I don't get the holidays off, so it's basically just the only difference is I have a few more presents in my house that I can't do anything with because most of them are like, I got a cheese board and I got a game, and it's all for game nights that I hope will happen again eventually.
Yeah.
But anyway, beyond all
Off to
our
a great
crazy,
start, guys.
all our crazy quarantine talk. Hey, well, what year-end podcast would be complete without talking about how fucking weird this weird year was?
I didn't think we could avoid it, and I figured we'd just get it out of the way. Also, I don't even want to. It's like Voldemort. Like I don't even want to give it voice, but like the meme going around. What if it's not 1 year? What if it's the start of the 2020s? Like, shut your fucking mouth. You take it back. You take that back.
But it would not be a TV Dudes podcast if we didn't have the power ranking.
Rankings.
Yeah, we should have probably touched base on this because giving away the power rankings tonight is going to kind of give away our top 20 that we have for the rest of the evening.
That's okay. We're about to. We're about to give away the top 10. You tell us what the power rankings are.
You know what? Things ought to go right for everybody just once this year. So we're just gonna give the rankings away right now. Here you go.
Okay. So last week
it's like getting the recipe at the top of the story.
40 through 20. So yeah, we're going to start on 21. And again, we're not going to go into too much time on these because we're about to talk about most of them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, here is the conclusion of our 2020 list, starting at number 21 over on HBO Max, Love Life with Anna Kendrick. Number 19, tied, Letterkenny and Rick and Morty, both current seasons.
I approve this. Not the rank number, that's wrong, but...
It's kind of funny because the internet was completely split on those two, Letterkenny being dead last.
Yep.
Rick and Morty being front of the human centipede.
Say it again. If Disney made a documentary about the making of Rick and Morty, that shit would destroy television. Like Kardashian would break the internet like a Kardashian photo.
Number 18, Carol and Tuesday. Love that soundtrack. Number 17, The Great. Over on Hulu. Yeah,
Hulu. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Tied for number 15, Future Man and The Boys.
Dub
Boys. Number 14, totally breaking the internet algorithm, but not safe from our list. The Last Dance, Mr. Michael Jordan. Tied at number 12, Star Trek Discovery and The Queen's Gambit. Number 11, Schitt's Creek. Number 10, Umbrella Academy. Number 9, Never Have I Ever. Number 8 is Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. At number 7, Lovecraft Country. Number 6 on the list, What We Do in the Shadows on FX Season 2. Tied for number 4, High Fidelity and The Good Place. Number 3, Disney Galleries, The Making of... No, I'm kidding. The actual non-documentary about The Mandalorian, just The Mandalorian. And then in the number 1 and 2 spot,
let's not give that one away. Right. Let's save that because that is our 1 and 2, I think. Yeah.
That's so yeah, the money.
Thank you, Kyle, for the power rankings for doing this throughout the year. I think you said you're going to change your methodology up a little bit in the new year.
Yeah, the idea is that hopefully going into the new year, it's more of a what's hot right now, where we don't keep a show from February on the list the entire year to just kind of clog up the top 10. We want more of a rotating top 10. We're still going to have the list of the best of the year, but as we've found, a lot of these shows don't even get ranked by Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes. So we may go to something of like a all IMDb or like maybe create a couple rankings. Let's see. The easiest ones to do, honestly, were our rankings, where we just gave our own opinion, but that kind of defeats the purpose of the power rankings. If it was just about our opinion, I mean, anybody could do that.
Yeah, but maybe we should score our shows on a 1 to 10.
That's what I was just thinking. Like maybe we should figure skating judge all of these shows.
And then throw IMDb in the mix and as the internet as the Russian judge.
Oh yeah.
I kind of like this idea. We could start doing that. We'll consider that. So, power rankings are going to change a little bit in the new year, but we'll still be having them. And I'm glad we did this, Kyle. I appreciate you putting all the work in.
Indeed.
Oh, thank you guys.
It's been a great year for power rankings.
Watching the numbers, feeling like a TV critic analytic. What do they call them on like the money, like a MSNBC Money channel? The people are like, oh yeah, Pfizer, their stock's going up. I'm like that, but for TV shows.
Yeah, you're like the stats analyst for we're moneyballing this shit.
But stats that don't matter.
By the way, our patron Mandy should be very happy because she put Carol and Tuesday into a top 20 of sorts. I mean, in fact,
probably not watched it otherwise.
But Kyle, it made your personal list. It did not make spoilers. It didn't make. It's not on the Carol. It's not on the official top 20 of the Kiwi Dudes.
Yeah,
because Les and I are both bastards, and we did not put it in our top 20.
But it was a great show. It was so
I feel like
much
there was
better than I thought it would be.
Really good amendment that we made to the power rankings, if you can call the rankings that we did for our top 20, which is, say I really like Carol and Tuesday, and it was number 1 on my list. It's going to be ranked really high against anything Randy or Les do besides their number 1.
Exactly.
But if two dudes, in this case, often Randy and Les, like the same show, even if those shows were a little lower score-wise, they get, kind of the thumb on the scale in terms of, well, more people are talking about it, so it gets more of a mention.
Yeah, a couple things moved up the list that are going to differ from the power rankings, and we'll get to that in a minute. But first, it's our last reminder of the year that you can support us by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes and throw us $1 an episode. And if you do that, first of all, you'll have good luck all throughout 2021. That's guaranteed. Second of all, we get to keep up with our streaming services, pay for our hosting costs, and you get bonus content each week. At some point in 2021, we're going to continue our John Carpenter marathon we started. But until that time, this week...
I swear, I've seen The Thing, you guys. It's the movie about the dog.
Yes.
The dog movie. With the snow, I've seen it.
So Kyle could not find time to watch The Thing in the last month and a half, but he did find time to watch 2 other movies.
He just went over to didthedogdie.com and The Thing. Oh my God.
No lie. I was thinking about you guys because I was listening to another podcast and the guy co-host asked, "What did you do at Christmas?" Oh, I have a tradition. We watch The Thing every Christmas. It's just like you get something new from that movie every year. And I was like, damn it.
And Kyle's tradition is going to be not watching The Thing every Christmas. But instead, you watched Wonder Woman 84, which Les also watched and I also watched, and we have opinions. Differing opinions, I believe. And then you and I both watched Soul over on Disney Plus. We're going to talk about that too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
it's going to be a good Patreon this week. Also, a little more topical than The Thing. We're going to get back on our marathon, but these are the movies people are talking about.
It was Christmas. There's only one Carpenter that.
Mm-hmm.
People want to know what we thought of Wonder Woman 84 because everybody's talking about it.
I hope there's one guy that's like, talk about the freaking Thing, man. I gotta know what you think.
I'm holding off watching it till I know what Kyle thinks.
Let's get into the top 10. Let's do this thing. Number 10 on our list, Netflix's Never Have I Ever, which I'm so happy. I got this confused with this. This is one of those. It's a great show. That's a terrible title, and I got it confused with the I Am Not Okay With This, which got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And this did not get canceled.
I also,
this is getting a second season.
Just on title alone, until my brain separates to oh wait, some of these are sitcoms and some of these are not. I also confuse it with I'll Be Gone in the Dark and what's the Ruffalo twin movie or the twin show.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You can
real quick, is Never Have I Ever number 9 and Umbrella Academy number 10? Am I looking at the right list?
Nope. Umbrella Academy is number 11. We covered it last week.
Yep. Oh, sorry about that.
I thought we talked about number 5.
Yep.
Wrong list.
All right. So Never Have I Ever was the coming of age thing. Is Mindy Kaling writing based loosely on her childhood. It had that really winning star. Her name, by the way, is Maitreyi Ramakrishnan, I believe. I may have mispronounced that. That's a great name. But the great thing, the little twist that really, this would have been great no matter what. But the twist that made it work was that it was narrated for some reason by John McEnroe.
Yeah. I don't even know if that's a twist as much as just a really interesting personality thing that does get explained and is completely the continuity of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting. It's bittersweet that the show's not getting a season 2 because
it is. It is getting a season 2. It is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
He was confusing it with I'm Not Okay With This, which did not.
It did not get a season 2.
I got confused just listening to you give that description. I'm like, damn, this is a good show. They're canceling.
And I'll be honest, I would have flipped that I did not plug into this show at the same rate that y'all did, or that Randy did.
Really?
For
Interesting.
real?
Yeah.
Man, I binged this in a day and a half. I loved this show.
Not dead sure I've watched the end of it.
I probably enjoyed this on the same level as like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine or maybe even like a Parks and Rec.
Until it appeared on your list, I forgot this aired this year.
Yeah, I think that a coming of age story of a 15-year-old teen is not like the weird. We've seen plenty of stories like that, but I think the fact that she is it's a Muslim family, that she lost her dad, that there's some really interesting stuff in this that makes it not just a which of the two cute boys is she going to date, and I thought that oh, that's right. She after her dad dies, she loses the use of her legs for 3 months.
Yep.
So there's like little bits and pieces of like, oh, well, that's interesting. That's a thing I didn't see anywhere else. And also, it was just so damn funny.
Yeah. No, the characters were really strong, and when I didn't think it was getting a season 2, I was like, they really stuck that ending.
Yeah,
like that is a
sure.
great place where the show could have ended, but I mean, obviously, with the season 2, it's probably not going to be a happily ever. And maybe it will. Maybe it'll be something we don't even expect.
The next season's set on Mars, weirdly.
Well, men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Number 9 on the list is John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, or Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, I guess is the full term, which I think this was season, I don't know, 13. I don't know how they break their seasons down.
Yeah.
Gosh, it feels like yesterday when Jon Stewart took that hiatus to go
and we were all like,
film.
yeah, who's this weird British dude filling in for?
And then, wait, John Oliver's going to be the person he leaves in charge?
Mm-hmm. We all thought Carell or maybe Colbert.
Mm-hmm. Like there was, I don't know. It seemed like a really weird choice. And even at first it was kind of rocky, but like he quickly switched into his own groove, which wasn't the Daily Show the way Jon Stewart was doing it, but was a lot more like Last Week Tonight. And that's why I think it was the head writer for Daily Show actually left with him to do this.
This is the end of season 7.
Yeah. This was the end. Season 7 started in February, so it was all 2020.
Yes. Yeah. Season 8 will start February of 2021.
So I was looking over what all was this season. There were 30 episodes, which that's a respectable season, by the way. There's not a lot of 30 episode seasons. A lot of it was COVID related, and credit to John Oliver for being able to do to cover Trump and COVID and the stuff that he covers and make it both informative and enraging, but also funny. Like this could be the most depressing show on the air. And instead it always makes me laugh.
What do we got? At least 9 coronavirus. Yeah. 9 coronavirus episodes. Multiple trumpets, but they still snuck in. I mean, Modi, Indian Prime Minister, just conspiracy theories in general, facial recognition tech, police, the post office also voting by mail separately. One American News. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, if you're not already, he's not going to convince like your Trump loving family members, because there's going to be a rant in the middle that's going to make them go, oh my God. But it is salient, needed information. And this is the show that like every time it would take a week or two hiatus, I would be like, no, John, I need you right now.
I remember when Trump was running in 20, I remember exactly when Jon Stewart retired, but I remember I was thinking, you can't leave us now. And I'm glad that we got John Oliver to step in and fill in for us. Yeah. Also, while it may not have been as notable as COVID and Trump getting trounced, we got to talk about, was it Danbury, Connecticut? Is that where it was?
Yes. Him picking a fight with the shithole town, apparently. I have no idea. I don't know what Danbury, Connecticut's like.
And then getting to the point where he got the waste management plant named after him.
Yes, and they started like, oh well, we did it. Oh no, we were joking, and he was like, no,
do it. Also, by the way, there's a lot of great running gags this season. The rat erotica thing.
Ooh, yes, that's right. Plus, Larry Kudlow's wife's paintings of a world without Larry.
Yes, there was so many good like little bits. John Oliver does this great job, and he did this throughout the season where he would like donate to a food bank if you wanted the painting or whatever. He's like,
Mhm.
if you find us this, we will donate $10,000 to a food bank in your area. Like he is using AT&T's money for good,
Yes.
which is not something you can say about most.
Take
of
that,
AT&T.
business daddy.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting level of responsibility that he not only takes, but he works into the narrative of the show, where he says, "We have all this money to make a TV show. Like we can do things with it. Like we don't just have to pay everybody, big salaries or
Yeah.
have big CG dinosaurs on the stage with us. We can make, what are those costumes that he does?
Oh
A
yeah,
mascot
T-John.
outfit."
and all the mascots
T-John.
and all the mascots and all the Goofy the squirrel. Yeah.
And then, of course, he did find time to step out of the blank featureless void and create a life-size 2020 that he blew up and walked away from.
Keeping the continuity completely intact. The most seamless transition from,
Yeah.
studio to home studio late night show we saw from any of the
Totally.
the big guys.
We
For
talked.
sure. Yeah.
We talked when all this started about like who handled switching over well, and like Jimmy Kimmel seemed to be the best at like switching to a home format and keeping it natural feeling, but John Oliver just kept doing his show.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, there was an initial moment of like, this is a little weird, and then it settled out, and at this point now, like that's just John Oliver's show.
Yeah. It'll be weird. It'll be weird when he goes back to the studio.
Oh, but it'll be nice to have some crowd participation in there again.
Yeah, for
We'll be
sure.
with all these guys.
Yes.
All right.
Right.
Number 8 on our list is What We Do in the Shadows over on FX, which had a killer season 2.
God, I love this show.
Yeah.
Love the movie. Love season 1 and season 2. Oh, it's so good.
I mean, we got, if nothing else, Jackie Daytona. That episode was killer. And that has Mark Hamill in it. That was super fun. That was maybe the pinnacle. But also, they had the runner about Guillermo and being a vampire slayer.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
The fact that like the whole first season, it just was completely hidden. The fact that he looks like a pudgy Van Helsing.
Yeah.
That
is just right there in the open that he basically looks like Van Helsing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you feel so dumb when they say that because you look at the glasses and the way he's dressed and you're like, oh, yeah, of course.
The first time somebody pointed it out and I was like, oh my God, fuck. Yeah.
I'll tell you, the biggest laughs I got this season, though, were Colin Robinson laughs.
Oh, man. Colin, you have some great stories.
Yeah, he has an OP episode where he just goes supernova. And, he's a bald character. He starts growing his hair out because he's just sucking the life force from so many people. And literally the biggest laugh I got all season in the season finale when he confronts the internet troll.
Oh man, that was
troll
so
turns
good.
to stone, and he's like stuck there with him because he was holding his hand.
Well, and that's one of the things that I like that they do in this is that the movie introduced werewolves and they did fun stuff with that. But this season we got not only we get the troll, we had witches and we had ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
And those are both fun too.
Fucking ghost, man. That ghost episode was really good.
Yeah, this was a great season. They did not get the first season had that great thing where they brought in all the other vampires and like we're making nods to Tom Cruise and all the other stuff. They didn't have anything quite on that
Wesley
level.
Skypes.
But they did have like the Vampire Council again. And Guillermo's big giant like killing all the other vampires to save them, which I'm sure is going to lead to some interesting stuff in season 3.
Gosh, yeah, there's no telling where they're going to take the show, but what the best thing about it isn't necessarily the season arcs, which they do have good season arcs, but I feel like week to week this show just like gets my attention and like brings the laughs, kind of like something Always Sunny did kind of in its heyday, where it was just always dependable. Like not only was this week going to be funny, but you were going to want to talk about it with your friends afterwards.
Oh yeah, for sure. Number 7 on the list is the final season of The Good Place. This actually would have ranked higher for me actually originally. I think y'all were not as big on the final season or didn't quite outlive everything else.
I mean, I loved it. It happened at the very start of the year.
It did.
Feels like, and my brain just really doesn't associate it with this year. It feels of a part like I don't know that feels like the last tendril of the Good Place that stuck out into 2020 from a run that ran years prior.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it's kind of the whole debate between Star Wars or New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Like, everybody loves Empire Strikes Back, but you don't have Empire Strikes Back without A New Hope. So does that get more credit, even though Empire's the better movie? I feel like Good Place, by the time it got to its fourth season, the previous seasons were so good and they had built on so much that even though they still had like all that great characterization, and I feel like philosophically it was probably the strongest season, especially the ending.
The ending was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's like there's just stuff that they did in that season 1 finale that you kind of only get to do that once.
And here's the thing I'll say: the reason that I feel probably it's right to be ranked on the top 10, but not in the top 5. There are only 4 episodes that aired in 2020, but the ones that aired were like the big ones. It was the end of the show. It was the big 4-episode finale of the show, and they nailed their ending on a level that honestly I put it up there with like Cheers.
Yeah.
And like they nailed that ending.
Yeah.
I mean, John from Cincinnati level finale there.
Yes. Nothing else to be told, just wrapped it up.
That made sense.
Number 6 is just we're just in the top 5, just outside the top 5. This is a bittersweet one because High Fidelity from Hulu is number 6, and this was so damn good. It was such a perfect modernization, gender flip of a movie I loved. Like, I love the book, I love the movie, and the TV show was somehow better than both of them.
This and our number 1 are the only shows this year that I've already watched twice.
I haven't rewatched it, and it's because when I went to rewatch it, I got sad. The reason I got sad,
we tore through the entire thing again, and just marveled at every moment with like, fuck. I mean, now I know how good it is, and I'm still surprised.
Yep. And they were. This is one of those stupid 2020 things. They renewed it, and then they unrenewed it.
Did somebody not want in their contract, or did lose a showrunner? What the fuck happened? Like,
does she need Catwoman money now?
Or was it COVID? Was it just like they couldn't film it? Like, I don't know.
Part of me wonders about that. Or they took that money and put it into an animated project or something they shelved last year that now they need to put up there because they have it finished.
But I'll say this, even though we would have loved to have seen a season 2 of this.
It's great as it is.
It stands alone as one season. It does work. It's just that we didn't get to see the Jack Black moment with is it Charisse?
That's the payoff. The only payoff that doesn't work. Or that isn't done for me, that left me truly going, no, it doesn't wrap. I need a season 2, is because she gets the guitar, but we don't get her Barry Jive in the Uptown 5 or Kathleen Turner Overdrive moment.
That was the thing, and that's the biggest drop. That's the biggest drop for me. That everything else, like I wanted to see how Rob was going to continue to grow, but we got a resolution of sorts with her, and
where it leaves her, and I can't remember. I'm already blanking on. Clyde, yes. Yeah. So, like, where it leaves Clyde, like when Clyde's like, yeah, that seems like a you problem.
Yeah.
Cool story. And like, it leaves her off on her own. I was like, this is great. This is how I want grown-up romance shows to end, or not end, but this is a fine resolution. She needs to be the fuck alone right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, this is a person way too defining themselves by their relationships.
You know, we live in a world where, like, Veronica Mars season 4 is like, anybody can do anything at any time. So the chances of this coming back for a season 2 in years in the future, probably pretty good.
I was really surprised that they killed Rob.
But I do think this story is almost a little bit like A Christmas Carol, where it can be told in different settings with different types of people, but kind of fitting this structure of this, trio kind of revolving around this main character who explores their relationships and the mistakes they've made, and hopefully by the end of it either becomes a better person or is just left, kind of the tragic victim.
Yeah, I feel like the device of the top 5 worst breakups, and like these top 5 obsessed, like these ranking obsessed people who don't feel like they've gotten anything that they wanted, but they're obsessed with ranking everything. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I there's something that is timeless to me about Nick Hornsby's original premise, and I loved the Cusack movie. The show did great. It even brought in that the record by that's in the book but not
Yeah,
in the movie,
yeah,
with a great was it Parker Posey? No,
yep.
yeah,
I think it
yeah,
was Parker
yeah,
Posey.
it was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is kind of weird that I mean we all like this show about these freaks that are obsessed with ranking everything.
I know.
Anyway, number 5
Yeah,
on the
these
top
pop
10.
yeah these pop culture obsessed cynics, gatekeeper
Number one.
motherfuckers.
It would be cool to see. I get your joke, but and I feel like I'm undercutting it with my comment. But no, it would be cool to see like other cultures, like Parisian record store where they're ranking jazz albums, and it's like their unique kind of you know romantic type situations they get into, or something in another country. Like I feel like the format that, like you said, the top 5 format, it's got legs. It could be interpreted in a lot of ways.
Well, and like both adaptations have been done in the States, but Hornsby's novel's set in England.
Yeah.
And so like this definitely can be I think that if long story short, I want them to do this more, and again, I don't care if they wait 5 years and do it in another country. Let's get it going.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Let's do another Infidelity. That's great. I'm for it. All right.
Let's get the webcam season.
We are into our top 5.
Mythic Quest did it.
And our first entry on the 5 is interesting because this one got some a bump up in momentum. I think according to the power rankings, Queen's Gambit was Kyle. Where was Queen's Gambit on the power rankings? You have that handy?
Gambit just had it. I think it was tied with High Fidelity in number. Oh no, Queen's Gambit was much lower. It was number 12, tied with Discovery.
It was outside the top 10, but it was on all 3 of our lists. It was higher on y'all's and lower on mine, but it did make my top 20. And as a result, it got a bump because all 3 of us put on the list. And here it is at the 5 spot, which I think, based on the buzz that this got, people would probably agree that this belongs in the top 5 of 2020.
Yeah, I loved this show. Partly this got an extra bump for me because it surprised me how much I loved it, and also the cross section of my friends who all loved it. There's some shows that I adore that I'm not as much as I love The Mandalorian. It's some space shooting and it's or Star Trek Disco. There's friends of mine that don't want to watch a genre show. I love horror. There's friends of mine that are not going to watch like splatter, gore, suspense, anything like that. So that the Queen's Gambit blew my Facebook up with like everyone I know who owns a TV going, no, this was pretty good. I binged through that. Friends of mine that don't binge shows were like, I think I just watched 6 hours of TV. What the fuck?
Yeah, this was for everybody. The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all loved it.
Sometimes you want to recommend a show and you're like, oh, it's this really good werewolf show. And your friend's like, I don't watch werewolf shows. You tell them, oh, this is a really good chess show. And they say, I don't watch chess shows. Like, what other chess shows are there?
Right.
There's maybe 3 movies.
Fanny recently sent me a quote from the writer of this. I think it was the writer of this, either writer or showrunner, talking about shopping Queen's Gambit around to every conceivable studio for years. And every time people going, no one's going to give a fuck about a chess show. Yeah. No one's going to give a shit about that. Like, go make your weird Bobby Fischer movie that's going to play Sundance. That's it. Like,
yeah. Oh man, also, but if it didn't give people a reason to like be interested in chess,
right?
This was also Anya Taylor-Joy. I think this was her big breakout. Like, she's in New Mutants, and she was in The Witch. But I feel like this was the movie that she like. This was the thing that came out that people are going to be keeping it. She's playing Furiosa in the Mad Max prequel. Like, this is gonna. She's gonna be huge.
Yes.
They're gonna be like, wait, she did a TV show. That's what this is gonna be.
So nice. There's going to be moments. I feel like in a few years, the way that Samara Weaving is is just about to be fucking huge.
Yeah.
I think I texted y'all recently because we've got Showtime through TV Dudes now. I was watching Smilf.
Thanks to Patreons like
and
you.
and Samara Weaving is a I mean, she's not a bit character, but she's a co-star character on Smilf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm watching it going, in a few years, this is going to be like Tom Hanks on Bosom Buddies. Like, what the fuck, man?
But Queen's Gambit is like this beautiful, like Mad Men-esque in its presentation, its clothes, and its settings, and all that stuff. And the way they did the chess, I haven't talked to a lot of people who like play chess, but I did see a couple of friends who are like, they're like, yeah, I usually don't watch shows like this because it drives me crazy. And everything I've seen people who like know chess is like, no, the chess hero is pretty good.
All her games are online.
But it's also it's not bewildering. Like if you don't know chess, and I know a little bit, but like at no point you're like, oh, when they did the chess, I just didn't know what was going on. You can tell when things are going well, when things are going badly, and we don't need to know what the gambits are, but it also seems to work. That's a balancing act that's tricky. Now that they pulled it off.
Yeah, they do a lot with, I feel like, the sound foley and stuff, pacing, literally the pushing of the pieces around, because there's a lot of like pick up and sit it down, and then like you won't hear anything, and then you'll hear a like shh as they slide it over, and I feel like they do a lot with the tension on that. But it reminded me a bit of Rounders. I don't care. I don't play cards. I don't care. I don't even know the rules to poker. I don't care about this, and it's a trick to make a card game interesting on film. And it's a trick to make, like, I feel like they had a little bit better job with chess because at least you've got like the overhead shot of the pieces moving and stuff. But
their special effects were well done.
That does remind me though that in the new year when we can all get together again, we should have a TV Dudes poker game. You think so, Kyle?
Is that what I've just admitted here? Is that I absolutely cannot play poker, and both of you are into sharks.
$100 ante, you think? Just
I can get on that.
Walking around money, I think.
Spending cash, petty cash.
My plan is working.
I think the beauty of Queen's Gambit from like a tactile point of view is that they really quick set up the main character as being very sympathetic. The world has just like crapped on her, and there is just like no hope for her in sight. And when she finds chess, it is really introduced as a superpower. And the first competition she plays where she can win money, it's like she just found a broken ATM. And that's when it becomes kind of a wish fulfillment type thing where it's like, what would you do if you could, win any contest and just have all this, spending cash and buy your house from your parents and, all this.
But they don't shy away from what her background did to her. Like her romantic life and her addiction issues are all based on the life she had. And I like that they do this sort of arc with her of like growing as a person, even as she is becoming this chess champion.
And I think I've gotten used to seeing shows that play with this kind of material of addiction or being messed up or having, bad trauma defenses going forward and all this. And then they just swerve into the ditch. And it's partly on me as a critic. I applaud the shit out of that a lot of times. And I get what I ask for. I was thrilled at almost every point that I thought, oh my God, the mom is going to be horrible. Nope.
Yeah, same here.
Oh my God, this is going to be awful. Nope. Oh my God, these people aren't going to help her. There they are, helping her.
Yeah.
Like I kept it does feel like wish fulfillment, and I feel like a fair critique of the show is probably that it's a little bit fluffy in that regard. But I needed it and I loved it.
Well, it's this great idea that isn't always the case in reality, but when it does happen in reality, it's a beautiful thing of like when you beat somebody, you're not sworn enemies at that point. They become your ally. So you see her, every person she takes down, they're impressed with her. They're like, you look at what you did. I got to help you be better all the way till you get to that final boss who is delighted to have lost.
Yes.
Yes.
And
there's
it's only a couple of people that are
moment.
Petty. Yeah. And they're shown to be kind of shitty, but like everybody views them as like, they're being babies, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the legit chess players, I love that they are continually like, no, I'm furious that you beat me, but also show me that. What did you do there?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, one of the small moments that I want to mention again, when she's playing the young Russian boy who asks her about the drive-ins, you ever bet that'd be cool? And she's like, you're the best person I ever played. And it's like, oh, you haven't played Gorkov or whatever yet.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4 on the list, Lovecraft Country over on HBO. This was one that it started off, everybody loved it, and then I feel like a few critics kind of and some of the audience kind of turned on it in the end.
Well, you had to like how many episodes it was? You had to like a dozen different shows, 10 shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the people saw the outset and thought, "Oh, this is going to be a very serious, dramatic meditation on race relations with a little bit of a horror tinge. It's going to be," and in fact, it's a little more popcorn and pulp than that, which makes sense because it's drawn on sort of pulp sci-fi elements. But at the same time, I never felt like it took things lightly. I felt like there were consequences for everything. But yeah, they definitely delved into the blood and the gore and the sex and all the kind of stuff you expect from HBO.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when it went nuts, it went. I think that was it. Whether you were delighted by shit like the 50s sci-fi looking multiverse episode,
Right.
or whether or the baby-headed basketball player kind of stuff, which makes sense. Like it adds up in the text of the show, like in the context of the show. There's reasons for all of it, but if that made you go, "This is dumb," then this was not going to work for you,
right?
Regardless of its other plot points.
I loved it. I loved it from the very first minute all the way to the very last. I thought this was a really good show.
I do love what they were able to do with the supernatural stuff, given that they took all of their realistic social threats of that time period so serious on the show and created some of their most tense moments with, police of that time or like, racial situations that, were getting out of hand. It was really powerful stuff.
I loved it. Literally the only misstep in the entire thing is the aerial shot CG of the lodge collapse in episode 2.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
That's deep, and I'm talking out of 10 episodes. That's the only thing I didn't like. But they keep showing that shot too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I love like all the logic behind how the power sets worked, which they had a lot of varied, different kind of powers that I felt like were just really interesting and kept me engaged with the characters the whole time. Like I'm thinking specifically of the shape-shifting ability.
That was really
which I loved and had a very like Werewolf in London
Hemlock Grove
transformation
kind of
to it. It was gnarly.
Yeah, and then doing the sort of the multiverse time travel stuff with Hippolyta was really interesting.
Their Doctor Who episode.
They would take these characters and take them in often directions I wasn't expecting. And then they would like the episode that was about I forget her name, the Fox Demon girl.
Yeah.
It was like all of a sudden all our main characters, our side characters are not even there, and here's this Korean horror story.
Well, and it's really interesting. And I don't know if this is, a win or a ding, but it made no sense why she was part of the story. I mean, it gave a lot of like background on Tick's character because you realize he did some really bad things when he was in the war.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why is she even part of this until like the very final minute? And it's like, oh no, she was that perfect key they needed in this one moment to kind of save the day. And there's part of me that's like, did they just write themselves a back door that they carried with them all season? Or was that like a really cool use of this character they set up in that episode?
That is an issue you run into, especially in genre shows, everything from Lost to Fringe to X-Files is this spectrum of Battlestar Galactica. Wait a minute, are you guys making this up? Do you have a plan?
Yeah, I'm watching Fringe right now and running into that in season 1 of like, do you know what the bald dude's going to do yet? Or did you just lay out a really great open-ended hook?
I feel like in 2020, people have a better sense of you can't do that. You got to have some kind of plan. And I think Lovecraft Country, either they knew from the outset what they were going to do this whole season, or they covered their tracks really, really well. Because there wasn't a lot of points where I was like, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't track. Like it all tracks. And I think that was part of the strong writing.
Neil Gaiman calls those sherbet lemons.
Sherbet lemons.
Because there's it's a candy in Good Omens, and it's he's talking about the sherbet lemons, and then later on when he imagines it, there's a giant sherbet lemon candy in the missile facility, and he's like, there's just cute things you put in a story and they're there, but some of them are sherbet lemons. That's like something that means something later on. It's a sherbet lemon. It's like a little more special.
Huh.
Yeah. Sherbet lemon.
A little bit of masterclass for us there, I think.
Number 3 on the list, The Mandalorian.
Disney Gallery.
Making up.
The season 2 of this I thought was stronger than season 1, and I really liked season 1, but they gave more of a through line. They definitely went into the sort of the more of the, like, they gave the child a name. They showed us up. They started bringing into live action some of the stuff that's in the Rebels and the Clone Wars cartoons, and they did it so well that I now want spinoffs of all those characters. Like Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan, and the introduction of more Mandalorians was really great.
Their entire establishing all of that, her looking at him going, "Oh, you're one of those Death Watch fanatics." Great. And then the way that she reacts to Boba later. Is
expanding the universe. The second she said that was the first time I recognized the horns on the armorer's helmet and thought, "Oh, Mandalorians!" Like, oh, that's totally, where those horns came from.
Well, also Boba Fett, which let's just reference, bringing Boba Fett in was it's tricky because everybody loves Boba Fett. Boba Fett never did anything. Like,
everybody loved him because you left him vague enough for us to love him. Yeah.
And so to bring him in and to fulfill the promise that we all had when we saw this kid, when we were kids and we saw this badass armor, and we're like, oh, this guy's awesome. Then we see him do all the awesome shit. In the Disney Gallery season 2 that they just did, the one that Robert Rodriguez, who directed that episode, is talking about. He's like, look, I had to treat this like Boba Fett was never going to show up again, and I was going to make him cool. And he 100% did it. The bit of him like swinging his gaffy stick, incorporating his sort of the heritage of the actor into it.
Using going to town some of the dumb shit from the armor. Like, why are the knee? I mean, like, if you've ever helped anybody make a set of Boba Fett armor, there's a lot of weird shit on there that doesn't add up to anything because it was just stuff they glued onto an outfit.
A wrist laser that would shoot through your hand.
That would shoot through your fucking
fired
hand. The knee rockets. Why the shit are the knee rockets there? And we see them used. And I was like, oh, because no one would expect you to have rockets there. Like,
and the setup is so perfect. It's like he vanishes because the last thing we see is going to the ship, and then things go bad for everybody else. And if you're paying attention, you know it's coming. And if they've pulled off the magician's trick, you've forgotten about it for a second, and then all of a sudden he's there in the armor, and the stormtroopers are fucked.
Yeah, yeah. They did a great job of even the choice of using the Jango. That's the same actor from Django. It was Jango Fett, right?
Exactly, Jango Fett.
Yeah.
And then having Bo-Katan say, "You're not a Mandalorian." I've heard that voice 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Like, you're a fucking clone. And I loved it. It was great. It was great.
I also love that when we see Cobb Van, when we see him in the armor, he looks tiny in the armor. Like, you can tell this armor doesn't fit you. And you're wondering, like, okay, they obviously could have made it fit him, but no, they're telling you, like, oh, this is for somebody else, and they're coming back for it.
And man, Boba Fett looks great in this armor. Like, they nailed it. The look is perfect.
Yeah.
What is it? The Honest Trailers, they were doing like a 2020 recap, and they show a clip of like Boba Fett getting hit in the jetpack and falling into the Sarlacc pit, and he goes, just when I think you couldn't do anything dumber, you go and it's a shot of him with that gaffy stick breaking the stormtrooper's head. Totally redeem yourself.
And we didn't talk about the last couple episodes of Mandalorian because we're busy with their stuff. But man, I thought they nailed the ending of this season. Like, I loved getting the gang back together for their heist. Like, it made me forget that Gina Carano is a terrible turf that I hate.
Yeah,
she's so good in that
Cara Dune. Yeah, she does great. Yeah, no, but the actress is like, fuck her. But
Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka is perfect.
And then I'm looking forward to her show now.
Gosh, that episode is perfect.
And
how spoiler are we getting?
Let's do it. Let's spoil. If you have not seen The Mandalorian season 2, we're gonna spoil the ending.
You've got to see.
So let's start from
even
Death
Mark
Troopers.
Hamill's posted about it by now.
All right, so the Death Trooper robots are fucking great, and I felt like they introed them really well by barely using them and showing how dangerous. I really liked locking them into the room as and not because, like, you get the threat, but I was thinking you can't release that many of those things. You're gonna they're gonna have to suddenly underpower. But one of them almost beating his fucking helmet flat with it on him.
Yes.
All of it just to set up how scary Luke is.
Yeah.
Do you know who was watching that helmet bashing scene? The ghost of Oberyn Martell, who said, I could have used some of that Beskar steel
Right.
when I was getting my head bashed in.
By the way, and also the throwdown between Moff Gideon with the Darksaber and the Beskar thing, which is the only thing that can block lightsabers.
I love that Beskar steel can block lightsabers. Like, it makes sense that something would be able to, some fucking material would be able to, but I thought that was a really nice touch when he throws up when he first blocks a lightsaber with his gauntlet at one point.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Mandalorian the Jedi, it makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, and that setup at the end where you're like, oh, they're screwed. What's going to happen? What are they going to have to do? What bargain are they going to make? And then the X-Wing shows up. And Cara Dune's line, by the way, was perfect. She's like, oh, one X-Wing, we're saved. Like, that was hilarious.
Well, because I'm thinking it's going to be the two schmucks from the ice thing, you know?
Yeah.
And if it's those two, if it's Wedge, no offense, Wedge, but we're dead.
No, I love Wedge, but still. And then...
I'm going to have to write you Death Troopers a citation.
And then you see that it's a Jedi, and you're like, no, they couldn't. No. And then you see the green lightsaber, and you're like, no, it's got to be. And then they bring him in, and I thought the CGI was actually pretty good. It's not pretty good. It's better than Rogue One. It's not up to Marvel standards.
It's still somehow not as good as deep fake on the internet. Every goddamn time they've bettered Moff Tarkin, they've bettered Leia, they've bettered Luke. Now there's versions of all three,
sad
and they look better. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Go talk to you own Marvel. Go to another building and ask how they did it and quit doing this Superman's mustache shit. Anyway, they should have just had Sebastian Stan walk in and play it.
Yeah. You know, I initially thought that and was a little disappointed when I got a pinch of Uncanny Valley because it's like a gut reaction.
It's just a little bit. Yeah.
You're like, okay, that's not Sebastian Stan, which was a total just toss up. You could have had that one for free, guys. But anyways, I get why it had to be Mark Hamill. And I also love, like the thing he wrote on his social media where he's like, John and Dan gave me this great gift. Like, this is how I always imagined it, but never got. And now this is how it actually is. Like,
the neatest thing to me about that scene is that I feel like they were intentionally doing a callback to Vader in Rogue One.
I agree.
Yeah, everybody's making those comparisons.
And that I love that shit because what we're seeing here is a crazy powerful fist pump in the air Luke Skywalker, right? But we know that this is the same guy who eventually hits a point in his Jedi power where he goes, you know what? I don't think we should fuck with this at all. And I was like, because him coming down the hallway, I was like, man, I'm checking the color of your lightsaber to tell if you're Sith or Jedi, because no one can tell, you psycho monks.
Well, I also
Wrinkles is the only way anybody outside your monk order can figure this out.
There was something so powerful when you think of the context of him being trained by Yoda. Like, one of the criticisms of that is, we're left and he's still, trying to pull his X-Wing out of the swamp. And then when we see him again, he's a total badass. All right. But if you buy that, Yoda had, gave him all this knowledge, this, ability to train and such. And now he sees this other creature like Yoda. Like, I think he understands the threat just as much as Moff Gideon does, in the sense that he wants to use this, for his own means.
So
even more than the Mando or anybody else may realize how powerful
what I think is. What I think is funny is that Grogu escaped the massacre of the younglings, and it seems pretty clear. This is a fan theory, but it seems pretty clear that R2 got him out. Way he reacts when R2 shows up, it seems pretty clear that R2 got him out.
Okay, so he was in the room when Anakin did the youngling thing. That's what everybody's thinking.
That's what
R2 was helping out.
Yeah, that does explain his reaction to R2, which I feel like they're gonna do something with.
In the Vader comics, he actually gets like an R2 unit that's just full of guns.
Yeah,
he hits a button and it's like.
But what's funny is if we're to believe that Grogu is going to continue on and become trained and that kind of thing, there's two ends for him. Either he has bad luck and he gets massacred at Luke's temple by Kylo Ren.
Yeah, because Luke's temple that he's talking about setting up does not go well.
Or he's the luckiest little Jedi in the world. He escapes another massacre.
2 massacres.
I bet he doesn't stay. I bet something happens and he goes away from the temple.
Maybe so.
We have approximately 10 years in the timeline before we catch up to when Luke would be starting that temple.
Yeah.
So no telling how long they play in that time period, because you also want to power up Grogu, I imagine, in the next seasons. But how do you do that without a significant time jump?
Well, that's the thing. I feel like they've left Grogu to be a baby. I mean, the rate that thing ages, like that, it's going to be a baby all the way through it has to have been a baby during the entire new trilogy still.
Right. Yeah.
So they've got a character now that I'm familiar with, that I really like, that you could age up into a teen, and that would be an immediate time jump completely outside the Skywalker set.
Yeah.
You could jump Star Wars universe 500 years.
You know how you could do it without a time jump? Is you could say kind of the same trick they've been pulling since episode 1, season 1. Like, oh no, he's 54. He knows words. He can talk, but he watched all his buddies get slain in the Jedi Temple, so he's been a little traumatized for a couple decades now.
Yeah, because he's small, but he's really old. We know he's been trained already, somewhat.
Yeah.
Well, and it could. The thing is, I imagine they're probably going to go at least through the end of the season without giving him any lines, and then hopefully the first line something like, this is the way. But you could start to slowly introduce, like small bits of dialogue if you wanted to make him a speaking character. I feel like there's ways of doing that without time jumps.
I don't know what season 3 of The Mandalorian looks like. I have no idea, because they set up all this stuff. Is it going to be about the leadership of the Mandalorians tying into the Darksaber that the Mandalorian now owns, and Moff Gideon and Bo-Katan? Is it going to follow Grogu's training? Is Grogu going to be in season 3? Like, what are they going to do? I am so interested.
They're going to be in season 3, or is Mandalorian done and we just move into Book of Boba Fett?
The Book of Boba Fett, they have said, is a new show.
But I mean, is there a Mando
side by side?
Oh, they are going to run side by side.
Yeah, they're going to do
Book of Boba Fett's going to start first, and they've also said that with all 5 of these shows, the characters, it's not just going to be big crossover events. They're going to be crossing over throughout the season onto each other's shows.
That's good. I like that.
This is why they have corporate synergy. I'm sorry,
let's talk about
dumb word, but
let's talk about that stinger. That stinger with Boba Fett and Fennec. That's
her name. I keep saying Agent May, and it's not. It's Fennec. Yeah.
I'm so glad she's on a better show, playing a better character.
I also love her cybernetic parts. Like the whole how she came back.
She got a cyber tummy.
Mm-hmm. She took some advice from Coulson.
The cavalry.
By the way, this is another great Mandalorian, the Mandalorian Galley, which I recommend you guys watch. It hasn't power rankings yet, but it's sure to be a top 5 show. They talk about recreating Jabba's palace as a set, and how they wanted it to look right, and that CG just wasn't going to do it. Mm-hmm. So they actually rebuilt the Jabba's palace set.
That's crazy.
Just to do that last moment. But that means it's got to be that they're going to do more with Jabba's palace in the next season, in the Boba Fett thing. But the bit where you see like Bib Fortuna has now, the guy who was he was not up to running a criminal empire, but now he's just gotten fat, is up there being fake Jabba, and Boba Fett just comes in and wrecks him.
Mm-hmm.
Also makes you wonder, if he sat on that throne long enough, would he look like Jabba the Hutt?
I guess so.
Are we seeing like their evolution, but in an earlier stage?
If you got frogs just in your dispenser to eat, you're going to gain some weight, Kyle. It's just what happens.
It's like the shrimp.
Yeah, it's like the shrimp
dispenser in Good Place. Yeah.
Shrimp dispenser. Oh, love
this is the dream.
But yeah, that was a great finale. I am super excited to see where they're going to go with that. And yeah, this was just a great season of TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys gonna buy helmets? I've been getting the ads on Instagram.
No, absolutely not. No.
I keep seeing the ads.
Hasbro official licensed helmet.
Yeah, no, but I did toy with buying the like $150 Nerf blaster that is the Mandalorian's Nerf blaster.
Ooh, the rifle.
Yep. I'm like, I can't do it. It's too expensive, but I almost did it. My son would love me forever. It's the only show he watches is Mandalorian. So. All right, let's get our number 2.
Oh yeah, so this is where we kind of teased it out, which
right.
I feel like if if you're a fan, if you're
You probably
maybe
know.
you're just tuned in for the tops. But yeah, these shows we've been raving about all year.
I don't think
luckily other
number
people
one.
too.
I don't think number one's going to surprise anyone. Number two might,
Yeah.
because it's been a little while since it was on. And the number two show is Dave on FX.
Little Dicky.
Dave.
Who's Dave?
So
Who's Dave?
I watched the first episode of this and I thought that was cute, but I don't know if I'm going to follow it. And then it grew on me, and by the end, I was in love with it.
Yeah, I tore through this show. I love it. It's so. This came out week to week, did it not?
It did. Yeah, it was a weekly show.
This is actually an FX show. Yeah. This was one that, like, as soon as it dropped, I was like, Dave's on. Fuck.
Yeah.
And it follows that same rule that Carol and Tuesday had, which is the show is great in its own right, totally different than Carol Tuesday, but the music from the show and the subsequent Little Dicky music that you discover by learning about this character will keep you interested when you're not even watching the show.
He's great. His whole, like, epic, quote unquote, like, thing that he's working on at the end, and then his freestyle, like, all of it's legit good. His fucking funeral wake tribute. Oh, God.
John's dead.
And the setup and payoffs of jokes across multiple episodes was impressive.
Here's the thing, though. This is an example of how you get a show right, because look at, you guys remember John Mulaney had a show for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
This is a show
like a multi-generational own in a bar or something like that.
Yeah, it was
like a Seinfeld ripoff.
Oh, that's right. It was just John Mulaney's show. Yeah.
And like, this is the same kind of thing. It is about Dave being a rapper. It is based on his real life, just made larger than life. It is Seinfeld. It's Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's that kind of thing. But
who's the couch surfing guy, the Christian couch surfing comedian?
Pete.
Yes,
Townsend.
Pete Holmes.
Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah. No, it's like a Pete Holmes show. Yeah,
like that. This is a show that I think the thing that really makes this work, the thing that made this sing partly, is the supporting cast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the supporting cast was great, and they had stories of their own, and they had agency of their own. I think one of the things that I remember about Mulaney, and I don't remember a lot, but I remember it had a good supporting cast, but they were just there to set up jokes for John Mulaney. This cast is not just here for Dave; it is here to have their own stories. Like his buddy from school. God, why am I blanking on the name? The guy who was his hype man.
Oh yeah, that's his manager.
Gata's story.
Oh no, Gata, his hype man. Yes.
Yeah.
Gata's story is so good and so moving, and when we see like the stuff that he's gone through, that was amazing. And the stuff he goes through with his girlfriend, where you're like, man, I want to be on your side here, Dave, because you're a protagonist, but you're the asshole here.
Yeah.
And
the whole ending where you get to hear what he recorded played back, it's so tragic, and you're hoping it sinks in. Which actually, they give you the sense that he realizes what he did.
Yeah.
Also, what a great actress! I don't want to lose her in season 2. Like, she was such an interesting take on a girlfriend character. She wasn't there to just chew up the scenery or bail him out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she had her own stuff going on. Was very interesting. And then when she needed to be serious and be like, "Hey, grow up," like we got to get that from her too.
Yeah. So Gata is really that dude's name. He really is Lil Dicky's hype man in real life, and he really is bipolar. And there's some really cool interviews he did about Dave Bird, like, coming to him going, "Hey, I want to do an episode where we reveal your bipolar on the show." And like, man, fuck you. No.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want the whole world to think I'm nuts. And my God, that episode's powerful. The inner child episode gets crazy deep real quick. Some of the jokes they pay off should not work. The interview I got to do with Jeff Schaefer, that also did Bruce Brothers and The League and other shit, talked about like meeting Lil Dicky and knowing that there was a show here because like the first thing that I think Dave Bird said to him was like, "No, I'm going to be the greatest rapper that's ever been." and like looking at him and like, "Oh fuck, dude, you're not joking."
Yeah.
You're really you believe, say it again. You believe that.
Yeah.
And like, oh God damn it, you might be.
I love his L's who does like makes his beats, but also kind of
Yeah.
plays
God.
like the straight man
Yes.
to
Yeah.
all of the crazier
Just
characters.
doesn't think
Mhm.
he's like, no man,
Yep.
I've known you your whole life.
It's so funny because you could have like a rival like crew or somebody come in and just start like dissing on everybody, and L's would just slowly like slip over to their side and be like, "Yeah, man, you know."
No man, he's in there
Because they had
when
it
he was
coming.
8 and he peed the bed. Dude, stop.
Yeah. I also love Emma, who is his roommate, who's the graphic designer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Who makes that awesome Little Dicky logo at the end.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh my God. And everybody's grudging, like, I'll help you. Jesus, you're a loser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he has such a tight team by the end of this. And it's kind of that message of like, you can't do this yourself. Like you need, people around you supporting you.
Yeah.
The other thing that this is a touchstone that reminds me of sadly is Louis. When Louis was firing on all cylinders and it could do dumb jokes but serious philosophy and serious character work at the same time.
No, you're right. This hits that same. This hits that same. How are you landing the most absurd joke and then turning on a dime and hitting me with like the theme the whole episode that I didn't see you building?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're trying to tell somebody how serious the show is while also describing the 2 holes in his penis.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God.
The episode literally ends with his roommate pulling up to the garage and finding him and his girlfriend in a sex bed that he's made
using the milking table
for eating ass.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Oh, no, it was a milking table, but they were
milking table. Yes, milking table. Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Why does this table have a hole in it? No.
It's not unlike, again, Curb Your Enthusiasm, another one. They do the coming together of stories really well. Like this brings together seamlessly. I think one of the reasons it's so high on our list, it brings together the stuff that works about so many different shows. It's got elements of Louis, it's got elements of Curb, it's got elements of Seinfeld. But it's its own thing.
Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. Similar to like, well, why would I want to watch a chess show? I don't really like chess. Like, I don't really care if you like rap. If you like sitcoms and comedy and can handle a somewhat gross joke, and if you can't, I don't know how you made it to this point in history. Then Dave has got to, like, I feel like Dave's going to land somewhat for you.
Yeah.
Also, the marketing for this was so good. I don't know if you ever saw the like safe for work porno thing that like Breaked.com did years ago.
No.
Yes.
Where they took like 80s porn and they just drew cartoons on top of it. So it was all like it was safe for work. It was like really funny stuff. The marketing like for this kind of looked like that, but it was Dave rapping and then Dave being insecure. And from the second you saw those promos on FX, which FX knocks promos out the park, I feel like you got a sense for what this show was. And I instantly started looking up the music. I was like, okay, who is this guy? The marketing got me in that moment.
Yeah. All right. It is time for our number 1. And again, anybody who's been listening to us for any amount of time is probably going to pick this one out. That show is
Big
Apple
dogs.
Plus's Ted Lasso.
Hey, I wish I could. I wish we could get that theme music clear,
right?
Because you say that, and I just hear the heaven knows I've tried.
I don't know about you guys. I have rewatched this season at least 3 times so far.
Yes, I am on my 3rd watch right now. We're like 3 episodes from the end.
And I watch episode 10, the finale. I watch it when I'm down, which it's 2020. That happens a lot.
Oh my God.
And it's like, it's what I use to get myself back up. Like I watched it on the eve of the election. Like it is the culmination. It's a great ending. That's one of the things is not only is it great characters, really funny, really sweet, really just optimism that we needed. It's a damn near perfect season of TV.
Yeah. So
like that finale lands everything.
We talked earlier about shows end up getting boosts for me if they surprised me with how good. Like if I expected you to be good and you're fucking great, or if I expected nothing from you and you're just a play, like that somehow that jump matters more. And also there's something to be said for the right time, which is not always a show's fault. It is unfortunate that Utopia came out this year. It is unfortunate that The Stand is coming out this year. Both of them are not a subject matter I really want to watch right now. But and so they're going to get dinged a little bit, unfortunately. But Ted Lasso was both the show I needed. I did not expect this. It's a fucking NBC commercial. It's an NBC sports joke
Yeah.
from half a decade ago, I think.
These are some Geico cavemen right
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Yeah,
and
I thought there was no
unfortunately,
way
I
this was
also
gonna
love the
work.
Geico Caveman show. But
Yeah.
but we'll discuss Nick Kroll at another time. I didn't expect Jason Sudeikis to pull this off like this. I mean, I don't care if the guy from like Bill Lawrence, yeah, he did Scrubs, but that's not a guarantee that you can hit sweetness exactly right. I mean, this is both, like you said, this is a fantastic set of TV. It zigs when it ought to zag. The villain's not the villain. I'll end up loving every character. It is positive where I need it to be positive. His character's believable and not a Pollyanna, saccharine, dumb shit. Bad things. This is the hands down greatest show. We ought to make this number one on our list.
Trying. Yeah, he never gets shit on, even though that's like people are always dumping their shit on him.
Yeah. I will say Bill Lawrence was the reason that I watched this. Like, I wasn't going to get out. My first take, if you go back and listen to our first take on Apple Plus, I shit all over that service. I was like, they got nothing. This is terrible. Why are they doing this? I was more positive about Quibi than I was about Apple Plus.
Yeah, why do I care about I mean, you were talking about I don't care about a chess show or I don't want to watch a freestyle rapper. Why would I give a shit about Premier League soccer?
Yeah, the premise was an American football coach goes and becomes a soccer coach. And I thought it was going to be a dumb fish out of water. I like Jason Sudeikis. I like We're the Millers. I think he's a funny guy. But I was like, this is good. But I saw Bill Lawrence's name, and I'm like, Bill Lawrence did Scrubs and Cougar Town, which, by the way, another premise that should not have worked but does because it's Bill Lawrence. And I think Spin City was also him, or is that Phil Simms?
I'm not sure.
From News Radio. I think that's also Bill Lawrence. Bill Lawrence, I think everything he's touched has been good.
Undateable.
I heard Undateable got better, but I have not seen Undateable.
It got better. But it's not bad. But in general, it's not good. In
general, Lawrence has done good stuff. And this is of a piece of what he does. He has always had like sensitive lead characters. He does the guy, he definitely gets into like the sensitive men who are likable and funny and not like typical masculine guys.
Real quick, TV Dude sidebar, Undateable, getting into their marketing scheme. And I don't know if like all TV shows do this now. It's been a while, but they actually set up Tinder profiles for their characters. So you'd just be flipping through your Tinder. You'd be like, oh, who's this? And it's like, watch Undateable, Wednesdays at 7.
Okay, that's pretty great marketing.
It was awful.
Go ahead.
But Bill Lawrence is what convinced me to watch this. And I watched the first episode and thought, that was cute. I'll watch more. And then as it goes on, I fell more and more in love with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The secret weapon of the show is Brendan Hunt as Beard.
Yeah.
Coach Beard.
He's one of the writers.
Yes, he's one of the co-creators. He and Sudeikis and Lawrence co-created the show. And his character is the power-up that makes Ted work.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that Ted alone wouldn't come apart. Like the character, like I don't know that I would believe that his shell holds, that his optimism holds. But when he's got his friend there and they finish each other's jokes so well, they're like, who's president then? Ronald Reagan, the actor.
Yep. He's like, you got me with Christopher Lloyd.
You walked right into that. Like they have so many.
We also get the episode, or I think it spans a couple episodes, where he doesn't get Beard, and you see it throws his whole routine off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one where Beard won't talk to him.
Yeah.
Oh god damn it! Beard breaking the chess girl's date and just like get your things.
Yep.
Also, she's been toying with you.
you talked about Coach Beard. I thought you were going for Nate the Great.
That's the other secret weapon.
Nick Mohammed. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Is so good as this sweet, sincere. Again, it's a Bill Lawrence character, but Ted picks him up on the first episode and quickly realizes, hey, this kid who they've got just washing towels and stuff knows a lot of shit and actually cares about this team in a way that nobody else does. And by the end of the season, he has rightfully been promoted to assistant coach.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think the key moment for him, the best part about Nate the Great, is that bit where he nails them all in the locker room, where he basically just upbraids them with criticisms, and it's dead on and funny and just perfect.
It's so good. You used to run like you were angry at the grass, like it fucked your wife.
And by the way, also. Every other character, like Roy Kent, is such a goes in a direction you don't expect to go.
Yeah,
Keeley is
a gem.
Rebecca could easily have just been the bad guy from Major League, and at first that looks like what she's going to be, and she is not.
No, you understand why she's doing the villainous thing she's doing, and you also are rooting for her to change and get what she needs.
And by the way,
totally forget she's the bell shaking lady from Game of Thrones who walked Cersei through all those people spitting at her.
Also, by the way, one of the villains of the piece, Anthony Head, playing your ex-husband, is this slimy guy.
So slimy.
Because it's Anthony Head. He's so likable too. You're like,
he's
I love watching
joyously
him lose.
shitty. Yeah, like you see why, like, because this crowd doesn't really know you. I see why they all like you.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a deeper bench too, because when we see, like, I mean, there's Rojas.
Oh my god, like, football is life.
With Isaac at the end, like they've been building Isaac and his teammates at the end, like in the back the whole time.
Sam's great the whole time.
Yep.
Like, can I give you back this soldier, coach? I don't have the association that you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, there's one moment in particular where Rebecca kind of reveals to Ted, this awful thing she's done, and both with tears like swelling up in their eyes, Ted has just been like super betrayed. He just goes, boom, I forgive you. Yeah. And the context of this scene has taught me like more about forgiveness than countless other lessons, whether it's like religion or like other television, like just like, I don't know. I've never seen that type of sacrifice where it made sense to me. Like, oh no, that's what forgiveness means.
Yeah.
And similarly, he's Ted Lasso because of that.
Similarly, you expect inspiring speeches in a sports show. I mean, Friday Night Lights perfected it, and this has a little bit of Friday Night Lights about it. But that speech he gives in episode 10 about belief and against the hope that kills you and that kind of thing, and that they still have them lose and it still works,
and that they go ahead and use that loss to pay off the real lesson, which is just as big as like the forgiveness thing, the moment with Jamie, which we haven't talked about. Jamie Tart, and what a fucking prick. Jamie Tart. Jamie Tart. What a fucking prick he is through the whole season. And then you see the moment at the end where you feel bad for him as his dad's berating him for making because he does the pass that Ted's been trying to get him to do the whole goddamn season, and it works, and they win even though we lose, and then we see his and Ted passes him the note of like, yeah, we lost, but then a great pass.
Yeah,
like I broke. I sobbed at that last episode.
Yep. Also, by the way, the Roy and Keeley relationship plays out really nicely, and it's mature in a way that you don't often see.
The moment at the bar at the awards the auction, the whatever's aid auction thing, charity auction, where she like, do you know what you're saying sorry for? And then she demonstrates it. It's similar to the forgiveness moment. Like she demonstrates it to Roy when he walks up and like, hey, that was embarrassing. Don't make me part of your stupid shit. Okay.
Yeah.
And she starts to like, I didn't.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Juno Temple kills in this, and the last couple episodes where I love the idea that all these characters can have flaws. All of them can be wrong, but they're never stupid. Like the last couple episodes, she and Roy are trying to get together, and she sleeps with Jamie, basically as revenge. And the two of them like talk, and Roy is like, so you fucked him to get back at me for a thing I didn't know I'd done. And she's like, no. Well, yes, that's exactly what I did.
Yes.
And like he nails it. She apologizes for it. And there's that super cute scene where she like plays all the people in the press room while he's answering questions. And like, I love seeing them get together. And then she gets to pay it back when he has his niece, and she calls her over, and she's like, tell me about your uncle. And at no point does soccer ever come up. And there's a beautiful payoff to that later where Roy is talking to, I think it's Ted. It might be Coach Beard. I think it's Ted. But he's like, I asked my niece, are you still going to watch the show? Are you still going to watch the game if I'm not there? And you know what? She just said yes right to my fucking face.
What a little shit. Yeah.
Right to my face.
And there's a similar bit like that pays off with Rebecca that I always remember when Rebecca goes to apologize to Higgins, and she's like, I told him everything, and you know what that did? The little shit forgave me.
Like, Seven Higgins has the soul patch.
Oh
no, the Van Dyke. The Van
The whole
Dyke
arc is great too.
Oh man.
Yeah, this bench is deep.
Yeah.
With the sports metaphors.
Seriously, everybody should just stop everything you're doing. Stop breathing. Stop eating food. Stop listening to this. Go watch Ted Lasso until you lose consciousness.
Yeah, I honestly, everybody on my feed is going to get so tired of me talking about Ted Lasso because if I see somebody finally watching and I go love react it, I've definitely dragged a bunch of people into the show. I was like, you've got to watch Ted Lasso. People posting their top 10 of TV. I'm like, where's Ted Lasso on your list? You need to watch Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Barack Obama posted his top 10 TV, and I'm like, Barack Obama did not watch Ted Lasso because it's not on his list.
Yeah, did he just not buy an Apple product? Go get Apple TV. Go to Verizon. I don't care what you need to do. Get some free.
Don't you have a show on Apple next year? Or something? Probably not.
Nobody who watches this would not put it in their top 5 of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's our top 10, guys.
Yeah, go watch Ted Lasso. If nothing else.
We do have a few also rans, some honorable mentions that didn't quite make the top 20 cut. Last week, Kyle gave us his reality documentary breakdown. Yep. This week, it's a little different. Kyle, you want to throw out the stuff that's still on your list?
Yeah, these are all my shows that aren't documentaries, but were also really high on my list. The first one we talked about earlier is Carol and Tuesday. That just had this amazing soundtrack and a very serviceable story that totally distracted me from the art style, which normally isn't something I get in for. But I'll be damned if Carol and Tuesday wasn't one of my favorite things. And heck, I was just listening to one of Angela's songs the other day while I was doing dishes. The other one is the newest season of Rick and Morty, which I feel like is not only firing on all cylinders, but some of the episodes I feel like are probably my favorite of, the whole series.
It was a really good season.
Yeah, it's a great season, and you can tell that the all the production kinks are worked out, and they're firing on all cylinders, not only creatively, but like getting the show out on like a consistent basis. And it just gets me really excited for like the longevity of this show. I will say there's something about those earlier seasons where when we only had 2 seasons of Rick and Morty, it was really easy to keep all of that lore kind of tight. Yep. But each season they just keep blowing it up bigger and bigger. What else? Anna Kendrick in Love Life over on HBO Max. Guys,
that one won me over. I didn't like it at first, but it won me over.
Yeah, I that one.
I started crying at the end. It got me in a few points. It was some really touching stuff, and
it was this year's Modern Love that you and I both loved and cried over last year.
Also didn't get into that one.
Exactly. That's how I felt about it. There's just something about this whole like seeing your life in the context of a lifetime. We're so certain that we know what's going on in a moment. Like we're right in this argument, or I got to dump this person, or I got to worry about me, and then to go and like to see it, the bigger picture, really brings a tear to your eye because you realize, we're so much more than just those moments. Yeah, it was strong. And watching Noelle, she and her character ended up with the same actor in that. That was kind of a cute touch. And let me see. Besides that,
well, you were talking. Star Wars Clone Wars was on your list, which
yes,
man, the final season again for the third time, I think. They did 3 big stories. They did Bad Batch, which is going to come back for its own series.
Can't wait for that.
They did the Ahsoka Tano arc of her like on the outs of the Jedi, and she's running with sort of the crime smuggler family. And then they brought her back to the fold for the thing that I think really pushed it over the top for you, which is that Revenge of the Sith thing.
Yeah, and getting the whole getting that moment recontextualized. I mean, it's what Dave Filoni's been doing throughout Clone Wars is going, those movies weren't bad. Just here's what you should have focused on.
Yeah. Wait till Mandalorian season 3 when he wins all of you over on M levels in the blood.
Yeah.
Boy, they fought hard to not say midichlorians, didn't
pretty
they?
cool guys.
They did the Lord's work to not say that fucking word.
But I do love it that he's almost like the reverse Star Wars fan, because where every Star Wars fan looked at the prequels and said, this isn't what I want, he looked at it and he said, "This is what we got. Here's what this means now." Like he never saw it as like, "Oh, I don't like this," or this ain't for me.
Every turd is polishable. Yeah,
exactly. But this was definitely not a turd. And come back. Gosh, some of the stuff that they set up in this, I also loved. Like some of the stuff we got with Bo-Katan in this final season as just like a great little, refresh before getting her in live action.
Yeah.
And kind of the same with Ahsoka Tano, which for a while in the animated series, her fate was unknown.
Yep.
But gosh, yeah, no, that was just super fantastic. And then
the
also
crown.
had the crown on here, which we've talked about in great detail, and I was kind of nice the other day. It was really quiet here in Texas. It's been really nice out, so we had our windows down, and I could hear the Crown theme music playing from my neighbor's house, like they were binging it. I was like, hell yeah! But no, that one we've talked about at length. Just some great performances, and also I think one of the greatest strengths of this tenure, these last 2 seasons with this cast, has been Prince Charles. Yeah. Prince Charles, where in season 3 we get to see him as this super sympathetic victim, and then in season 4 he's just straight up villain. And this is also their characters, their interpretations. They're not the actual people, but in the show they just did such a great job of like him getting his ass kicked and going, fine, that ain't gonna happen again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it my way now.
And the last thing that I saw on yours was West Wing Special. That live special.
Ooh, I may have talked about that last week because it was kind of documentary-ish.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, no, just real quick again, I was so impressed with what they did, taking an episode that we had seen, but like doing it in this like the stage version of it that just really blew me away. If for nothing else, we got that great Lin-Manuel Miranda joke where he's reading those cue cards. It's not about who delivered the greater civic lesson. No, the whole thing was just done really well, and especially if you stack it up, 2020 we got a ton of these like COVID episodes.
Yeah.
A lot of them were webcam. I think we all agree the best one of those by far was the Mythic Quest one,
for sure. Yeah.
Where they were able to do something pretty great. Parks and Rec was pretty good too, but that was more or less just like, hey, we're going to get the band back together to play some of the classics.
Yeah. Also, you can't watch that one anywhere. It's not anywhere.
Yeah, they just did it and it's gone.
Yeah, which is too bad.
It's not on YouTube?
Nope. It's not
Bummer.
it's not on Peacock. It's not.
It's been scrubbed. It's just impossible to find.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like there's some other ones that didn't turn out as great.
It was the one that I would have liked to rewatch, and it's gone. On my list. Oh, sorry.
But no, I was just saying the West Wing, I feel like for me is gonna when I think back to 2020, I'm gonna think about those episodes. That's gonna be the best one for me. So I think that's why it's an honorable mention.
On my list, on the honorable mentions, a lot of comedies. There's always Extraordinary Playlist, which was just such a weird out there premise. It has the stars of Purgatory, who I love. It's got one of the stars of Pitch Perfect, who I always like, and it's got Mary Steenburgen, and she's always great. And it's this weird, like, musical romantic comedy thing, but it's also got this storyline about her dad is dying and he can't talk, and it's got this thread of sadness and reality through it. And I thought as a first season, it went really, really well. And they did a good job balancing these sort of the funny stuff and the serious stuff. The music was all really good. They got some good, there's all strong performers. I didn't even mention all the cast members. Like her boss is played by Gilmore Girls. I'm blanking on her name. Lorelai, who is always great and everything. Lauren Graham. She has a neighbor who is genderqueer. There's such a great story with her, or with him, and that's all really well done, really interesting. I'm super excited. That's coming back in a couple weeks. I can't wait to see what season 2 looks like. AP Bio. I know that AP Bio does not hit for everybody, but it came back on Peacock, and it was the only reason I paid for Peacock for a month, because I watched it. I watched the first like 3 free episodes. I'm like, oh, I got to watch the rest of this, and I binged it in a day. It is. I think that I really liked what they did this 3rd season. Patton Oswalt is doing such great work on that show, but his sort of lunch lady assistant, she's fantastic playing Helen. She's fantastic.
Love her.
I love all the kids and the stuff they do with them. And they did some really fun stories this year that sort of had Jack, their sort of smug teacher, sort of slowly coming around. It's got a little bit of that School of Rock vibe to it a little bit, except he's a philosopher.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah.
I feel like it's reaching for Community in kind of like its weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very weird, just not like, I feel like Community had such a strength with like some of those supporting actors. Like they look like they just pulled them off of college campuses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like a few of the kids, actually, no, some of the kids nailed that for me. But it's one of those things where it's not quite full Community yet in terms of that ensemble.
Community didn't hang every A plot on Winger.
Yeah, that's true.
And I like everything about this show except that every plot hangs on a main character that's the least interesting, least likable person on the whole show for me, to a point that I feel like Jack doesn't belong on the show and should be excised. Like he's like a bit character I don't want on the show, except that he's the main character.
What was Jason Bateman's character on Arrested Development?
Yeah,
Michael,
yeah, I get that. Yeah.
That's who Jack needs to be, because everything happening around him is so crazy and interesting. Like that's where the story's at.
The best episodes are the ones where he is an incidental tool that is making the plot move along.
I generally agree with you, except there's three really standout episodes in the season. I liked all this season, but
the one I remember that I did really dig is the drug episode.
Yes, that was really funny. I think that is the one that like jumps around in time, but there's an episode called that, which is basically that Jack falls asleep while he's like making a video. He's trying to make a video to get hired at Harvard, and he's just slowly losing it. And they're painting or so. They bug bomb the school, so he's starting to hallucinate. And that is almost all on the lead character, and he's great at it. And then the final episode, they introduced Katie Holmes Day, which is a weird 30 Rock Community kind of thing. Like this whole town celebrates Katie Holmes being taken out to Hollywood, and that whole thing was such a weird thing. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of another gear that this show has that they haven't used yet.
Yep.
That is the Parks and Rec Community Simpsons building up the town a little bit. That I'm like, if they do more of this, they can make this work.
Yeah, I think we need a paintball episode next season.
Yes, for sure.
Just roll in all the trial and error into the show, and I'll be great.
I also like Sex Education season 2 quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was really good. I liked second season of Doom Patrol quite a bit. I liked it better than season 1.
That would have made my top list except for the finale. It ends so abruptly that I thought there had to be one more episode. I was so sure I was watching the penultimate episode that I got fucking angry.
I feel like it had to be a COVID thing. I feel like that had to be
that had to have been rushed. I mean, I'm not saying it was like Writer Strike season of Heroes fucked up, but it felt literally it felt one episode short.
Yeah, you're right. It does. It feels like a weird place to leave it, and
it would have made my top. It would have made my top list without it.
Westworld continues to get more intricate and weird, and you're either in or you're not. And
I am very much in, but I don't know. I felt like I couldn't weigh this season separate from the show.
I get that. It is basically one big story, and how they end it is going to be important. If they nail the ending, it's going to wind up in our top 10.
They're a little bit off foot for me right now. Like that, I'm loving it, but I want to see where they go.
Yeah.
Wait, did you
because
say
they
Westworld?
could easily Westworld? Yeah.
I thought it was over. I thought season 3 was it.
No. There's one more.
One more season.
What is going on? All the shows I thought were canceled are coming back.
Dude, I had the same moment with Westworld. When it ended, I thought, well, that's a fucking weird place to end it. And Lisa was like, this isn't the end. There's another season.
There's one more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is good. I feel like that story definitely deserved more time. If for nothing else, Maeve deserves more of a.
Well, and why is Aaron Paul even there if this is all you were going to do with him?
Yeah, I think this is easily one of those things where they could drop the ball kind of thing.
And they might.
But this is the team that did what's the supercomputer show that they did? Person of Interest.
Yes.
Which I have not seen all the way through, but I hear had a good ending.
It did. I very much enjoyed it.
So that's a good sign. And then the last thing on my list, Les kind of mentioned it in passing, Utopia. It suffers from bad timing, but even with the bad timing of everything going on, and even with starring anti-vax lunatic John Cusack, this was a really good show. I am sad to learn that season 2 is canceled. So the only ending we're going to get is to watch the British show and kind of try to fudge it together.
And it's damn near
Wait,
the
is
exact
he
same. Even though it was
in real life?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, what?
John Cusack's a terrible person.
That is not a cool character he's playing then.
Yeah, no, he's a terrible person.
I don't know that he's anti-vaxxer, but he definitely spread the 5G conspiracy thing at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah, he said some crazy shit.
Yeah, I don't quote me on being anti-vax, but he's definitely done some well, I'm just asking the question.
Yeah,
our cell phone towers causing.
See what I'm doing. I'm Googling John Cusack crazy shit.
Yep, that'll bring up a list.
I'll bring it up, yeah. But yeah, and he's still good. Like, he's still a good actor. Like, he was good in it.
Well, and despite it being developed for television finally, the British season is spectacular. The British version is spectacular. And you will almost get the same fucking ending.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The British show is now on Prime, so we can watch all of that and not get our season 2 of the American show.
The cinematography and the colors and stuff. The British show has style that the American show does not. Yeah. As much as I love the American show, but and I like the comic in the American show a lot better. But but the British show really has a style to its look.
That'll take us to the end of our top 10, top 20 for the year.
That's it.
That was a big year that we had to wrap up.
Let's do it all again.
No, please no. I don't even care if TV's terrible next year as long as the rest of the world isn't terrible.
Let's just move forward. If we just have this weird lurch, there's just no TV, but the world improves, and we're all like,
yeah, I'll be okay with it. I can rewatch plenty of stuff.
I'll rewatch Ted Lasso.
I'll just rewatch Ted Lasso. Yeah. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Les.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you to
next
Grant,
year is to get you to watch Person of Interest now.
I watched a bunch of it. I just haven't watched all of it because it's 22 episode seasons.
2 episode seasons, yeah.
But thank you to Grant, who's not here this week, but who is still a TV dude and still one of our founding members. Thank you to our listeners. We appreciate you guys tuning in this year, spreading the word. Definitely maybe spread the word next year. Get some more people to listen to us. We put on a lot of love into this show, and I feel like we do a pretty good output, and I would definitely love for some more people to be listening to us. Thank you to our patrons. We appreciate each and every one of you. We hope you guys have enjoyed. We've been much more consistent on the bonus content this year because we're all stuck in a house. We don't have to rush off and do anything else. So there has been a lot more bonus content. We're going to try and keep that up. We're going to have the one last bonus content for you at the end of this. We're going to talk about Wonder Woman 84 and Soul. Consider becoming a patron if you're not. But if you're not, we still love you. But if you are a patron, love you a little bit more. It's just true. Until next year.
TV Dudes out. The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.